China President Hu Jintao will be visiting Hong Kong. Ivan Leung went into damage control after alleged illegal structures. Thanks for calling in.
Also in the news, Northam Detention Centre was officially opened and the Premier introduced new legislation for the Corruption and Crime Commission.
This is the Evening News.
Good evening. China President Hu Jintao will arrive in Hong Kong on Friday for a 3-day visit to coincide with the 15th anniversary of the founding of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region. But due to security concerns, he won't be staying in a hotel this time. Hong Kong correspondent John White has the details.
Unlikely as his last visit in 2007, when he stayed at the Grand Hyatt Hotel in Wan Chai, Hu Jintao is expected to stay at the senior staff quarters of the Central Government Liaison Office in Tai Tan because of security concerns. The location of the building will make it easier to protect the president, as the approach is only via the main road. His visit is coincides with the 15th anniversary of the founding of HKSAR. Hours after the announcement of Hu Jintao's visit, the Chief Executive Tsang says the President shows the strong support of the central government has for Hong Kong. John White, HK News, Hong Kong.
The Chief Executive, Ivan Leung, is in damage control after he apologised for the second time about the illegal structures at his home on the Peak. DHK News understands that complaints were lodged to the ICAC by 4 Pan-Democrat legislators, alleging Mr Leung made false remarks about his home's illegal structures during the Chief Executive election campaign. While Mr Leung has responded saying that he is disappointed with himself and stressed that he will work to demonstrate that he is a suitable and trustworthy Chief Executive.
Just days before Ivan Leung take over as a Hong Kong leader, Chief Executive Tsang is still confronted by demonstrators accusing him of not doing his job well enough. Mr Tsang was in Sha Tin attending the Dun Festival boat racing when protesters yelled out slogans with the speakers. Mr Tsang has left the venue after the award ceremony without answering any questions from the media. The controversial Northam Detention Centre was officially opened. 600 male asylum seekers from Afghanistan, Iraq and Sri Lanka will be housed in this facility.
Although the housing number was scaled down by more than half, nearby residents are still concerned about the safety problems. Meanwhile, the Shire President, Steve Pollard, was confident that security is tight within the centre.
The fencing itself is non-scalable, the external fencing, and also there is a sterile area between the internal fencing and the external fencing, as well as electronic surveillance, so we're comfortable that the security should be adequate. Look, I think that's been a big help. The actual reduction in numbers, by definition, I guess, means there's less of a security risk, so that's certainly been an advantage to the local community to have those numbers reduced.
The opposition has criticised the state government of cutting the health budget after they received complaints that cleaners were controlling infections in WA hospital wards. Whilst the unions have expressed fears that this action will lead to the decline of quality patient care, the Health Minister Kim Hames responded, saying the cleaners were just filling in because patient care assistants had called in sick.
According to a statement by Shadow Health Minister Roger Cook, the government is trying to cut costs in the WA health system by using cleaners instead of patient care assistants to control infections in and around hospital wards. Infection control is a critical position in ensuring a safe environment for patients in hospitals, and cleaners are simply not trained in that area.
It's a trained position requiring a Certificate 3 level of training, and yet the government has chosen to push our hospital managers to use cleaners in this role. And what this is essentially doing is putting patient care at risk.
Carolyn Smith from United Voice also expressed the concerns about the extra workload for cleaners in hospitals, as that will have an effect on the overall quality of patient care.
This is a ridiculous outcome of the government's plans to cut 2% from the health budget. Replacing patient care assistants who play a specific role in hospitals with cleaners, will have widespread consequences for infection control and patient care in hospitals.
However, the Western Australian government has responded by saying that cleaners were only asked to assist with the cleaning of patient rooms at the Armadale-Kelmscott Hospital as its permanent and casual patient care assistants had called in sick, and all activities were within their current role descriptions. Shibs, DHK News.
The Premier Colin Barnett has introduced a new legislation for the Corruption and Crime Commission, allowing the organisation to investigate organised crime and public officers' minor misconduct. But the Shadow Attorney General John Quigley is against the decision because no adequate human resources and funding have been provided to carry out the requirement.
A new legislation for the Corruption and Crime Commission was introduced by the Liberal National Government. The Corruption and Crime Commission Act will delegate an investigative crime function which will enable the organisation to provide assistance during police investigation into serious offences. Premier Colin Barnett says the legislation will also designate responsibility for the alertness of minor misconduct by public officers.
This bill aims to amend the Corruption and Crime Commission Act 2003 to achieve nothing less than significantly improving the CCC's statutory ability to fight organised crime and corruption in this state.
He also assured that regardless of this new legislation taking place, the CCC would retain its current role as well as remain as the oversight body for all police investigations. But Shadow Attorney General John Quigley strongly opposes Barnett's decision, calling it a superficially attractive measure, as he mentions that for the legislation to be successful, about 41 full-time staff should be incorporated, where no fundings have been allocated to supply this requirement.
Superficially attractive. We're going to have the Crime Commission, the Corruption Crime Commission look at organised crime and bikies in particular. Superficially attractive, fraught with difficulties and conflicts of interest, and potentially disastrous for this state.
He also says potential conflicts of interest between the CCC and the police could destabilise the assigned roles of each organisation. The new legislation attempts to reinforce the government's commitment to reform and improve the public sector honesty and accountability, as well as ensuring that the Corruption Crime Commission can fully exercise its powers regarding serious and organised crimes. Alexandra, Mollo, DHK News.
Cockburn City Mayor Logan Howlett has reminded pensioners and seniors in the area to register for rebates from the Water Corporation. Eligible pensioners will receive 50% off their current year's rates and emergency services levy.
As we draw towards the end of the financial year, pensioners and seniors living in the city of Cockburn that are not currently registered with the Water Corporation are encouraged by Mayor Logan Howlett to register with the corporation in order to receive the appropriate rebates for the forthcoming rating financial year. Pensioners who meet the eligibility criteria will be able to claim a rebate of up to 50% of their current year's rates and emergency services levy.
For those people who are eligible, they can have 50% of their rates, emergency services levy, and in some cases the underground power levy reduced by 50%. So that's significant in terms of dollar savings to people who are eligible.
Pensioners who have qualified through the federal government and seniors who have qualified through the state government will be able to enjoy these benefits. Timothy Seow, DHK News.
And that's how the world looks tonight. Remember to join us next Monday for more stories about the Hong Kong anniversary of returning to China.
See you next week. Good night.
Good night.